It's going down. All right, Shalom Israel. First and foremost, as always, I would like to give all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem, Rasaha, Vadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, which is truth and sincerity, while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return. And double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai. And welcome to another series of It's Going Down, being brought to you by the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai. New EU proposal will allow children to choose their own gender at any age. So here it is. You could be a man in a household that could be raising your child, and your child is being taught at school by a transformer that you could be anything that you want to be when you grow up. You know, you could even be a boy and become a girl, or you could be a girl and turn into a boy. So if you wanted to be a firefighter mixed with a transformer, or if you wanted to be a UFC fighter but be a transformer, or you could be a girl who wants to be you could be a girl who wants to grow up to be a secretary, but you want to have a rod surgically attached to you where you can, lie down with other women. This society will allow that. And ultimately, going into a little bit of Edomite history, we know that the Romans, even the Greeks, they were all a bunch of pedos, okay? And when you go into Roman history, all you have to do is type in Roman Cantamites. Okay, type in Roman Cantamites. I'm saying that right. Roman Cantamites, okay? And it's all about grown ass men who were Romans who were dealing with little Roman boys, especially those who were in authority, who were in power. And basically they were popping these little boys, okay? Where you had these little, because ultimately Esau, Edom, which the biblical nationality of the so-called white man, self-proclaimed white man, is they're the biblical Edomites. Okay, we know that the Edomites have always been into little boys, which is why amongst the population, the Edomites have always had the lowest population rate, because the majority of the men amongst the nation of Edom were into little boys. Okay, you had some who were into 5-year-old or 7-year-old girls, but for the most part, you had grown Edomite men who was into 7-year-old, 8-year-old boys. Okay, and then those boys, they would grow up with raccoon eyes, and basically they will grow up to be complete flamers. So we come over here to Google. Let's type in Roman Catamites. Okay, Roman Catamites. I'm trying to beat around the bush on this. So I spelled it wrong. It's spelled with a C. Okay, Catamite. As you see right here. And what do we see in this picture? We see a depiction of a grown. The Greeks were also into this shit too, but you see a grown man right here holding a little boy. Okay, in ancient Greece and Rome, a catamite was a pubescent boy, okay, who was the intimate. Now when they say intimate, you should know what that means. Companion of an older male, usually in a pederastic relationship. It was generally a term of affection and literally means Ganymede in Latin, but also used as a term of insult when directed toward a grown man. And it should be hurled as an insult, because no grown man could be having, sexual relationships with little boys, period. Okay, the Lord created Adam and Eve, not Adam or Steve, and not Adam and little Steve. The Lord created Adam and Eve. So it's called catamite. Okay, this is what these grown Edomites were into. Okay, and the scriptures say that if a man, according to Leviticus the 20th chapter, if a man lie with mankind as he would with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be deleted. Their blood shall be upon them. So it says new EU proposal will now allow children to choose their own gender at any age. Okay, so this is nothing but confusion. As when you get the book of Genesis, okay, what did the Lord tell the serpent? Okay. Genesis. Okay, Genesis chapter, see, I'd like to say maybe it's the 3rd chapter. I'm just gonna put 3 in there. Okay, let me see. So Genesis 3 verse 14, and the Lord, Yahweh, our God, said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, meaning the Edomites will be cursed above all people, okay, and above every beast of the field. Okay, the beast of the field is talking about the other people, because the people were basically living like savage beasts, okay, worshiping idols, sacrificing children to false gods, etc., etc. It says, upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. And the dust is a metaphor, a dark saying for what? For confusion. So the Lord said that confusion thou shalt eat all the days of thy life. So anybody who's into, or anybody who's okay with the idea of a little boy or girl changing their sex when they're young and don't know any better, okay? You're basically, you're eating dust. Excuse me. Okay, so the serpent, because the serpent learned these ideologies from who? The Egyptians. And we all know the Lord cursed Canaan, for what his for basically what Ham did, okay, because Ham uncovered the nakedness of Noah, and then he laughed and made fun of his father. So basically the Lord had cursed Ham's descendant, Canaan, okay? And basically the Egyptians, which were Hamites, so-called Africans, okay, they were into all that confusion, okay? They were into XCX changes and having sex with crocodiles and dogs and all kind of weird practices, lining themselves up, lining up their eyebrows, okay? So this is ultimately where Edomites got this type of culture from. And this type of culture is nothing but confusion. So like the Lord told the serpent, which that serpent in the Garden of Eden was a child of the wicked, a descendant of the wicked. Okay, it was a man, a grown man. Okay, which when you go to that word serpent, it's the Hebrew word nakash, which means a sorcerer. Okay, because what that man did to Eve was sorcery. So he basically lied to her and convinced her to believe that delving into the ways of wickedness that's the way. You don't have to follow God's laws. You can be a woman in authority and in power. See? So the Lord cursed that man by basically telling him that you and your nation of people and your generation is going to be learning dust all the days of your life. Confusion is all you're going to learn. So this right here is the product of confusion, which the Lord said the serpent would learn, going all the way back to the Garden of Eden. The children will be able to choose their own ender, because the moment you change your ender, that's going to be the end of you. And I choose our words wisely. It's YouTube algorithms, so I left the G out, but you know what I'm talking about. G ender, okay? I'll say that. At any age, without the need for doctors, and with no red tape under controversial new EU proposals. Because ultimately, Esau wants to be into little boys that look like girls. Okay, because again, he's into little boys. According to a new document published last week, European Union countries to work to remove any limits on gender confusion children identifying as the opposite SEX. It says that governments that enforce age limits could be punished in the European Court of Justice. Isaiah 10 verse 1, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. So, there used to be an age limit on where you can change your gender. Okay? The European Commission made the recommendation in its European Equality, okay, Ubiquita, okay, Equality Strategy 2026 to 2023 document. The report states requirements for legal gender recognition vary significantly across member states. While a number of member states have adopted self-determination models, others impose medical procedures with European Court of Human Rights has found any infringe human rights. And they're already doing this shit. So why are they acting like, this is something that is just now becoming a controversy? They've been doing this, okay? If it's in the news, they already started this shit like 5 years to a decade ago. So, that's pretty much it, man. Hey, it's going down literally at the end of Esau Edom's rulership. And what will be one of the indicators that we will be at the end of the world, meaning at the end of Esau's rulership, 2nd Esdras 67 for Esau's the end of the world? Mass confusion will be spread throughout the entire globe. Matthew chapter 24 verse 22. And except those days shall be shortened. And except those days shall be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Okay, so if the Lord don't shorten the days, there ain't gonna be no flesh left to be saved. Because now there's gonna be little boys who's gonna want up to be a girl. And we know that the Lord put more females on the planet than males. So what happens if a male gets his coconuts chopped off and he gets his rod chopped off, okay, and he has it replaced with a pie instead? How's he gonna be able to reproduce? His coconuts are gone. How's he gonna be able to reproduce? So we're literally looking at the face of human extinction at this rate. Because we know that all of the other nations, they're in on this ideology. Well, there's very, very, very few nations that's actually against this, such as the East Indians. Okay, I believe the Russians are also against this, and the Hebrew Israelites are against this, which the Hebrew Israelites are the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Indians who are woke up to the R, and they're of the elect. Okay, the elect of the nation of Israel, which are Hebrew Israelites, they are against this. Okay, so we're literally looking at human extinction here. Okay, but with that, I'm gonna say shalom. It's on to the next one.